Today I just want to talk about the Eheat panel. It's 475 watts, 4 amps, and I think it's meant to be used in a 150 square foot room. So this room here is a 10 by 13 or so, and we have some old windows, but we have some newly insulated walls, and it seems to work pretty good in here. We mainly just use this as a backup heater. As you can see, we have a baseboard heater over there, runs off our boiler, but really we don't use our boiler unless it gets really cold. We live in Connecticut and we heat with wood, so I have a fan at the staircase that blows it upstairs here. We're on the second floor and the wood stove's on the first floor. I don't know what's going on with the focus here, but so really it stays pretty warm up here. And this is just used when it gets colder at night, but if it's not too cold, to put the baseboard heat on. So this is my daughter's room. We have two daughters that are in this room here, and it works very good for them because it's, you know, it's against the wall. It only is about 2 inches off the wall, which is nice. I don't have a tape measure on me, but it looks like it's, I don't know, 1.5 feet by maybe 2 feet tall. 1.5 feet wide, 2 feet tall, something like that. Not very big, but it's bigger than the photos look online. They give detailed measurements about all that. I believe it's $139 or so online. I would assume plus shipping. This was actually a gift to us. Very simple to use. As you can see, it plugs into the wall here. I wish it had a flat plug, but it doesn't. Any excess cord can be tucked back inside the unit, which is nice and convenient. That way there's no cord dangling around for them to grab. My kids are 3 and 4 now, so it's not a huge issue anymore, but when they were younger, you know, I didn't want them to be able to grab the cord and unplug it and everything, so where it's placed here is pretty convenient for that. So there's a power button here. You just push, turn on, the light turns red. Your thermostat setting is up top here, just moves back and forth. There's a crack there on ours. I don't know if that happened from shipping or if it damaged from the heat. I have no idea. I don't notice any discoloration or bubbling or anything on the paint above, but the wall certainly does get very hot. Obviously not too hot to combust or anything like that, but something to be aware of. If you put your hand above here while it's on, you could certainly get a burn, but I think most people will take their hand away from there. The height that I have it installed at, if a kid is standing there, if a toddler is standing there or a baby standing there, they won't be able to reach the hot part of it. So you can do that if it's in like a nursery or something like that, which is what this room was supposed to be. So again, it does get very hot above here, but if you put it at a height that's high enough, it won't matter. You can, let's see here. You can see down below the cold air comes in, heats up. The natural convection just pushes the air up and out, and there's no fan or anything like that being used. We're in Connecticut where the electricity rates are very high. I want to say it's like 18 cents a kilowatt or something like that right now. So this is obviously not a unit that you'd want to have placed everywhere in the house. It'd be very expensive. With the cost of oil right now, oil's only $2.20 I think a gallon last time we filled up, so it'd be much more cost effective just to use the oil radiator system in the house. We only use this because we heat with wood again, and so if you have a nursery where you want supplemental heat, if you don't want to have an additional zone put on your house for the nursery, if you don't feel like having any adjustments to the room, to your heating system, you know, a lot of the heating systems can just be adjusted. You can either remove fins or add fins if you have radiators. You can, some of them have zone controls. You can modify how much flow goes to the room. If it's a furnace, you can have more air be directed to that room and such. So something to keep in mind is if you just want a simple solution, you can install one of these. You know, it's again, it's I think $139, which is kind of steep for what it is. You can use just the regular oil radiators, the oil-filled radiators with the switches. I'm not sure what the wattage is. I think they're 1,500 watts, and then they're like 900 watts, 600 watts, and if you put both switches on at the same time, it's 1500 watts, something like that. So if your kids are older, I would just suggest one of those. The only thing nice about this is that it's sleek and hangs on the wall nicely. Another thing to keep in mind is that this unit really is kind of, the design of the hanger system, really not very good if you have kids, because if your kids bump into it pretty hard, it'll definitely come off of the clips. There's only 2 clips that hold it on down here and here that you screw into the wall, and it's really just not a very good design. I'm kind of surprised by that. If it's supposed to be a kids-friendly type of heater system, I would expect that they'd have at least 4 clips, because right now the bottom can just be pulled away from the wall, and you know, the unit is fairly heavy as well, so that's something to keep in mind. So that's really one thing that makes me a little nervous about it. But where I have it now, it's kind of pretty difficult for them to get hurt like that, so I don't have to worry about that. But in your situation, it might be different. So again, this unit works very well. It's only meant to heat 150 square feet, and they say it runs, I think, 10 to 14 hours a day to heat that space, depending upon your insulation. And you should really just do the math to see what makes most sense for you, depending upon where you live. Again, we live in Connecticut. We mostly have coal power plants, and we have, I think, 1 nuclear power plant. So it's very expensive to heat with electricity here in Connecticut. And there's tons of wood everywhere, so it just makes a lot more sense for us to use that instead. Alright, so I hope you find this video informative. If you have any questions or anything else that you want to say about this heater, if you have one that you like, then feel free to leave a comment down below. Hit the thumbs up if you liked the video. Just figured I'd share a good alternative for heating in your kid's room or your infant's room that seems pretty safe, and you know, it's electricity, so it's 100% efficient. So I hope you liked the video.